Hey guys, sorry this video is late. Normally I'm home on Mondays and my sister helps me film these videos. So I'm going to be back to the old days and film it in the car. This is my NRL recap for round 5. Okay, so this game I only watched the highlights for. I had a comedy show. If you know Ross Noble, I went and saw him. It was absolutely brilliant. It was the Broncos taking on the Tigers. The Broncos haven't performed very well lately, so I thought this was going to be a game that they'll strike back. However, the Tigers came away with a 6-point win, even though I tipped the Broncos by 6. The Tigers really stepped up here, and I think Josh Reynolds has had a really good game. He's a player to look out for, in my opinion. Not someone who I thought was too good, but there's another player like him that I think have really stepped up for their team this week, and they're a player to watch. The Tigers have the Eels this week, and the Broncos will play the Raiders. They have an amazing record against them, but the Broncos are just struggling at the moment. I don't know what it's going to take for them to click at the moment. I mean, a lot of their games in Suncorp they're losing, and normally you can pick them, but at the moment I just can't pick the Broncos. The second game of the round saw the Titans at home, winless, taking on the Penrith Panthers. This was a really sloppy game of football, lots of points scored, and the Titans came away with a 6-point win, 30 points to 24. Penrith, they scored a lot of points, but they weren't overall impressive. They were letting points in, defence wasn't great. They are a shocking side this year and not what we saw last year, not what I expected. The Titans played really well. Players like Dale Copley and the halves stepped up as much as they could. They still have a lot of potential, Ryan James and Ash Taylor, but I think we'll see more of them. And yeah, I can see the Titans now that they've got their sense of movement, and I can see them winning a few games from now on. The third game was easily my favourite game of the round. It was the Cowboys at home up against the Melbourne Storm. Melbourne Storm are undefeated, and they still are, with an 18-12 win over the Cowboys. I thought this game was brilliant. It was a nail-biter. The Cowboys had a lot of opportunities here to win this. However, I want to say, even though it's my game of the round, the refereeing in this game was disgraceful. The refereeing throughout the weekend was not great. This game was really enjoyable in my opinion though, and the Cowboys did put in a fight, and I can see them bringing that into next week. This is a game they could have won, but the Storm, obviously too good. Cameron Munster, he's the favourite for the Dally M at the moment, and you can see why. They played really good through the end. Sander, Earl, and yeah, watching Melbourne play and watching the Roosters play at the moment is the best, even though they're top of the comp. The next game saw the Rabbitohs take on the Warriors. Now this was up at Sunshine Coast Stadium up on the Gold Coast. This should have been a win for the Warriors. I tipped the Rabbitohs. I tipped them by a flogging of 16. It was a 4-point. It was 24-28. Cody Walker won them this game. Really stepped up. 4 tries. Good on him. We'll see. I can see him possibly in an Origin jersey. Maybe in the reserves, but I can see him getting that position if he keeps on playing the way he is. The Rabbitohs are now without Greg Inglis. I'll speak more about that in my predictions video. And the Warriors, they just couldn't go on to win this game. They led by 12 points with, I think, 12 minutes to go, and it went away. But a nice little win for the Rabbitohs here, and bouncing back from their loss to Manly last week. Next up, we had the Knights at home take on Manly. Manly's record against the Knights is really good. A lot of people expected Knights to win this game. I was Manly all the way. I was Manly by 8, and it was 26-18, so I did get there. Unfortunately, I didn't put a bet on this because it would have been nice to have some money. Anyway, the Manly side without Tom Trbojevic, it was a brave effort from them, and even though they leaked a lot of points for the Knights, I just see the Knights struggling this year. I want to see them win a game soon, but I can't see it happening anytime soon if they're going to play the way they are. Kalen Ponga, though, really stepped up this match. He had a few good line breaks. I think there were 3 line breaks. He had a few try assists as well. I thought it was a really good game from Kalen Ponga. I can see the Knights coming back soon. When it is, I've got to work out. But Manly, they're a threat this year and they're looking like a good team with Daly as their leader. The next game we had was the Cronulla Sharks at Shark Park, which is now PointsBet Stadium, which I'll talk about all year because I bloody hate that name. It's crap. Up against the Sydney Roosters. Sydney Roosters effort. It was 6-0 with about 8 minutes to go in half-time. It was a low-scoring match, and out they came. Second half, Roosters were leading 30-0. Final score ended up being 30-16. Some of these tries that the Roosters were able to get, Matt Ikavalu, and how they were able to keep themselves in play is why they're premiership contenders this year. I thought this was a really intense game of football. The Sharks were staging a comeback, but there just wasn't enough time. But yeah, pretty good game. The next game saw the Dragons at home taking on the Bulldogs. You wouldn't think this scoreline for this type of game. Normally the Bulldogs come away with a win. I did tip them. The Dragons won 40-4. My player of the week is Ben Hunt. Ben Hunt, man, I am not a fan of Ben Hunt. He stepped up, 2 try assists, some really good runs, not missing tackle, kicking game on point. Yeah, Ben Hunt, player to watch. Watch out for him this week against Manly. He was phenomenal. Ravalawa had a bit of a quiet game. I think he scored 1 try. So the wingers, but on the field, the Dragons looked really good. They're my dark horse at the moment, team to watch out for. I think they're now just in the 8. And the Bulldogs, they're going to struggle this year. They really are. Everyone saw it coming. They just didn't create any opportunity. Ockenbar had an alright game, but yeah, they really are going to struggle. And last but not least, the Canberra Raiders against my Parramatta Eels. What can I say? 19 fucking nil. Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed in the Eels for this game. However, I think their defence was really, really good. We just didn't create opportunities to attack, and obviously the possession swung in the first half. That forward pass was not a forward pass. Comment below if you agree with me, because even if you're a Raiders fan, I've had people comment that this refereeing was terrible. I can't remember the last time we've won a game under Henry Perenara. I have to have a rant about this. I don't want to. It's Parramatta's fault. There were a lot of drop balls. The Raiders were too good. That's pretty much all I'm going to say. But the refereeing needs to improve. And if we're going to have Henry Perenara, we're going to lose every game. I'm telling you now, I can't remember the last time we won against them. It easily wasn't last year. We only won 4 games last year. But the Raiders, amazing effort from, what's his name, the English Bateman, really good. And the fullback, Shanae's Nickel Clocksteed, as I've said every week, really stepped up. Alright guys, my predictions will be out tonight. I'm not going to rant on about this too much. I hope you guys enjoyed my recap, and I'll see you tonight.